just a second.
For this summer, the History Club is going to focus on folklore. So what is folklore and what does it have to do with history? Merriam-Webster.com defines folklore as traditional customs, tales, dances, or art forms preserved among a people. In other words, things such as stories that get passed down from generation to generation as part of a tradition. Now you may be asking, isn't history supposed to be about true events rather than just stories? Well, yes, but history studies different cultures, and when stories, whether true or not, have an impact on that culture, they become part of history. For example, there's no solid evidence that King Arthur or Robin Hood were real people, but their stories have inspired and shaped the character of the British nation. Likewise, the various myths and legends that were part of the culture of ancient Greece are very important to understand when learning about that country's history. Plus, sometimes when those legends, it turns out they're truer than you might think. Before the mid-1800s, people thought that the Greek stories of the Trojan War were pure fantasy and there was never any Troy. But after some digging by a German archaeologist named Heinrich Schliemann, it was proven that the city of Troy was indeed real, meaning it is probable a war occurred there that inspired the legend. For today, though, instead of focusing on the warriors that fought in the battles, we're going to learn about someone a bit more gentle, who's still a larger-than-life figure in the folklore of that region, Aesop. That's because Aesop told fables, which are stories often using animals as the lead characters that teach a short, simple, but important moral. The lessons they teach are usually considered true across a wide variety of cultures, meaning Aesop's fables are known by many different people all around the world. Their use of animals fits right in perfectly with our summer reading program's theme of tales and tales. And speaking of summer, our first story has to do with a character who loved summertime. Only he loved it a little too much.
Once upon a time, there was a lazy grasshopper. As soon as it was summertime, the grasshopper spent all of his time either laying around or playing around, and the grasshopper would sing a song the whole time.
Summer, summer, summer's here. It's my favorite time of year. Sitting in the grass under the shade, drinking a cool glass of lemonade.
While the grasshopper was relaxing, its neighbor, the ant, was busy working all summer long.
Oh, I've got so much to do today.
Hey, I'm planning a beach trip to do some surfing. Do you want to come?
I don't have time. I have to prepare for when the summer ends.
How about we stop by the swimming pool then? We could both cannonball in and see who makes the biggest splash.
I'm sorry. I wish I could, but I can't. I have to store food up for the winter.
What a worrier. Anyway, I'm not going to let that spoil my fun.
The grasshopper kept on goofing off until the winter came.
I hate winter. It's so cold that the fields are frozen. There are no crops. I haven't had anything to eat in days. I know. My neighbor the ant stored away lots of food. Maybe I can get a few scraps.
Hello?
Hello there. I was wondering if I could borrow some food.
Well, I stored up enough for me, but there's not a lot extra.
You must have a bit extra. I mean, you worked all summer. I just need a little, and I'll pay you back double next summer.
But how did you spend this summer?
I sat in the grass, drank some lemonade, went surfing and swimming. Oh, I also sang and danced.
Sang and danced? Huh, that something. Let's see. I've got food, but the food has to be prepared. Why don't you step inside and we can talk?
I don't like the sound of that.
Sometime later,
Hello? I'm coming to visit my friend the ant. You must be the new butler.
As well as the chef and court jester, among other duties.
If that's my guest, please let her in, fix us something to eat, and then do one of your funny songs and dances to entertain us. After that, you can have whatever food we don't finish.
You got it, boss.
Oh, you must have really messed up to end up with your job.
I really did. What can I say? It's not much, but it's a living.
from this story, we learn that the harder you work when times are easy, the easier it is when times are hard.
Now it's time to learn more about the life of Aesop. First, some scholars think that Aesop never even existed. They think Aesop was just a name used to explain the origin of these fables, and since Aesop is credited with nearly every famous animal fable, it's likely that some of these stories actually came from someone else. However, there are historical accounts of Aesop. In fact, one comes from the person many consider the first ever historian, Herodotus. Herodotus lived in Greece in the 5th century BC, and he reported that Aesop was a slave during the previous century. Aesop was also mentioned by many other great Greek writers, including two of history's most famous philosophers, Plato and Aristotle. Aristotle recounted Aesop using a fable to defend someone in court, meaning he was likely a free man. The Roman historian Plutarch confirms this by revealing that Aesop was a royal advisor. Now you may be wondering, how can he be a free man and royal advisor if he was a slave? Well, it's thought that Aesop's second master granted him freedom as a reward for his witty stories, and that his cleverness eventually earned him a place in the king's court. We don't know exactly where Aesop was born because sources differ on that, and because sources also indicate that he traveled quite a bit. But we do know that he eventually settled in Lydia, an ancient Greek-influenced kingdom in the western part of modern-day Turkey. There he worked for King Croesus, who is thought to have created the world's first ever gold and silver coins. The region of Lydia had lots of gold and silver deposits, and King Croesus was probably one of the richest kings in the entire history of the world. The fact that Aesop went from being a lowly slave to the right-hand man of the world's wealthiest ruler shows that anybody can make an impact. You know, it reminds me of another one of Aesop's fables.
My, what a lovely day it is! Oh no!
Do you dare disturb me?
I'm sorry, Mr. Lion. It's just I was burrowing. I didn't know where I was. Please don't eat me.
Eat you? I'm not going to eat you. Do you have any idea who I am?
Yes, I know exactly who you are. You're a lion.
Of course I'm a lion, but I'm not just any lion. I am Samson the lion, the strongest, bravest, and most regal of all the creatures. I only eat food that I hunt. That's the only fair and honorable way. It would be beneath me to eat a tiny rodent such as yourself. Why, you're so minuscule, I should call you Minnie Mouse.
You better not. Disney might sue us for copyright infringement.
Very well, then what should I call you?
Well, my name is Mildred.
Mildred, you are free to go on your way.
Thank you. I won't forget your mercy, and I promise to someday repay you.
Ha! That's one promise you won't be able to keep. There's nothing anyone as small as you could do to assist someone like me. Goodbye, Mildred.
Goodbye, Samson.
A few days later,
Ah, the hunt. Such a noble pursuit. What was that? I hope there are no hunters in this area. Oh no, they're trying to trap me. Oh, I'm trapped. My size and strength don't seem to be doing me any good. Help! I need somebody. Help! It could be anybody. Help!
Samson! As soon as I heard you, I came running as fast as I could to assist you.
Help me if you can. I must get down, and I do appreciate you coming around. Help me get my feet back on the ground. Won't you please, please help me?
Sure thing.
Thank you. Oh, that was an ordeal.
Whew.
Thank you so much, Mildred.
You're welcome, Samson. Will you be all right?
I'll get by with a little help from my friend.
Oh, I'm so very glad we're friends. But please stop making Beatles references. I don't want Paul McCartney to sue us either.
So be it. Best friends forever.
Best friends forever.
from this story, we learn that you're never too big to show a little mercy, and you're never too little to be a big help.
What a happy ending. Aesop never wrote down his fables. He only told them orally, but they didn't die with him. After Aesop's death, his stories were finally gathered together into a written collection around 300 BC by an Athenian politician named Demetrius. Unfortunately, Demetrius's writings have been lost to time, but a Latin version from the 1st century AD does survive. Its author was Phaedrus, who, very fittingly, was a slave that went on to gain his freedom and become an advisor to the Roman emperor. About 230 AD, Aesop's fables were combined with other fables from the Near East by the Greek writer Valerius Baberus. This iteration made it much harder to distinguish which of the stories originated with Aesop, but it proved very influential in the centuries that followed. Aesop's fables continued to be popular through medieval times and into the Renaissance and the Enlightenment. During the reign of King Louis XIV, the French author Jean de La Fontaine helped further their popularity with poetic retellings. Today, they are still around for new generations, as they remain an important part of many cultures. With roots in ancient Greece, which spread through Rome and the Middle Ages into the Enlightenment and up to now, you could say Aesop's fables have endured the test of time. Speaking of endurance, Aesop's most famous fable is about that very thing.
Well, your friend the lion may be the strongest animal there is, but I'm by far the fastest animal there is. I am literally as fast as lightning.
You are not literally as fast as lightning.
Who said that? Was it you, Hardback? You shilly little twerp.
It is not possible to be literally as fast as lightning.
How would you know? You probably don't know the definition of speed.
You probably don't know the definition of literally, but I do know the definition of speed.
That sounds like a challenge.
All right, if that's what you want. Do you know the tree on top of the biggest hill in the forest? That's 5 miles from here. I bet you I can beat you.
If you think you can beat me, you've lost your mind.
If
Unbelievable.
I win, I get all your carrots. But if you win, you get all my lettuce.
It would be nice to have some lettuce to go with my carrots. It's a bet.
We'll meet back here 1 week from today to race.
Deal.
The tortoise decided to train very hard. He would wake up every morning bright and early to go for a jog. And he would go for another jog in the evening. Meanwhile, the hare was so sure that he was going to win that he did not train at all. He spent most of his time eating carrots and taking naps. Time sure did pass quickly, and 1 week later,
I still think you're out of your mind.
You're just scared.
That's bold talk, Shelley.
Bring it on.
I will. Now prepare to eat my dust.
You're going down.
on your mark, get set, go.
Really? That's as fast as you can go? Look, I'm already ahead of you, and I'm not even trying. See you later.
I'll beat that rascal yet.
There's the tree. Oh, but it's no fun winning without the tortoise being here, so I can really rub it in. This race hasn't exactly been competitive anyway. I know. I'll rest underneath that bush until the tortoise shows up. Then I'll pop out and win. Yes, I could use some rest. I probably shouldn't have stayed up so late last night. Well, there was no reason to prepare with this opponent.
Here I am. Wake up, rise and shine, sleepyhead.
No! How could this have happened?
Slow and steady wins the race.
Fine. You won fair and square. I've got to admit, a tortoise is a lot more physically capable than I first realized.
That's true. Believe it or not, my cousins are ninja warrior superheroes. slow but steady, winning tortoise, slow but steady, winning tortoise, slow but steady, winning tortoise, hero of our story, Tortoise Power.
From this story, we learn that slow and steady wins the race, which was pretty obvious. If you didn't get that one, you probably weren't paying any attention.
Well, that's History Club for this week, folks. For this month, I should say. Here are our citations for the pictures we used. And if you would like a copy of this presentation, please email jmentor@leecounty.nc.gov. Thank you for joining us. See you next time. Goodbye.